So Drake Frost is a guy that for a long time, he was kind of, in his mind, I think, written off in a way. And he was with Samurai, and you get to sit under the learning tree, so to speak, one of those great wrestling terms. And all of a sudden, he comes to Phoenix Pro Wrestling, and each show, as Eric was saying earlier, his trajectory is up, 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 up. Even if you don't like the guy, you can't look at a guy 325 pounds and not be impressed. I mean, we've seen him do that incredible show of strength where he's got, a guy holding him, and then he's got another guy on his shoulders, and he throws them both at the same time. We've seen him fly off the top ropes. We've seen him hit this decapitating lariat that is kind of
the falling lariat.
That's become kind of the namesake for him as the champion here. And he's done it in a way where, he knows that everybody's gunning for him. He understands he wanted this responsibility. Samurai's been talking to him. He's like, you know what? We're going to get you this opportunity, and then we're going to make sure that as soon as you get this belt, nobody is going to stand in your way, right? Enter Jeff Cobb.
Well, if anyone,
Jeff Cobb now.
The pedigree of Jeff Cobb, as great as some of the talent is in PPW, you can't compete against. The pedigree of Cobb is just like on paper.
Yeah, are you an Olympic wrestler? Are you an Olympian?
Yeah.
You're not. I am.
Did you were you the flag bearer at your country's Olympics?
So here's his story. So 3 years ago, Eric and I go down to a show in Bayshore, the All Pro Wrestling show. It was for my birthday, and we go down, and Jeff Cobb is working this show, and he stands out immediately. And I mean, this guy was throwing guys 300 pounds around. He was flying around the ring, and we're just saying, like, who is this guy? And he tells me a little bit about him. And then the first show back in November of 2014, I see that he's coming in, and all of a sudden I'm just like, I can't wait to see this guy in action. And every time he's come in, he has just been so impressive to the extent that he outshines everybody else here in a lot of ways. But what I'm interested to see is, we know what he's done the last year. He was in the King of Indies semifinals against Adam Thornstowe, took him to the limit, and was one of the guys a lot of people hoped would have won that tournament. He's had his name out there for a year, and he has, just like Thunder Rosa, his last 12 months have been just as impressive, if not more so. Can he come in with Drake Frost on the run of his life, and can he stop this monster that has just been running over everybody? And we've seen it. We've seen what Cobb can do in the ring, and now he's got to do it against a guy that more than anything, and I mean anything in his career, his first championship title, he does not want to lose it.
Frost has been a competitor for a very long time. He is a veteran, but he had not achieved championship success in singles until just recently and here at PPW. So maybe more than other people, he sees this as, this is his time. This is his opportunity. He's worked at it for so long, and he has all of that reason to hold on to it. Tighter maybe than other people. Tighter maybe than people who are just, they're on their rise at the beginning of their career. And they know that, well, if I lose this title, I'll have more titles. Frost, not all wrestlers, get into an older age in wrestling. Like, careers can be cut short in an instant. So he knows that he needs to hold on to this one. And I wonder, as good as Jeff Cobb is, can he beat that desire to hold on to the title?
Yeah, we have to know what Cobb's motivations are. For a guy who accomplished so much, I mean, literally reaching just about the pinnacle of athletic achievement, the Olympics. Like, that's literally...
It's still the standard in athletics.
Yeah, that is the
especially
worldwide
wrestling,
standard.
Yeah.
And so
amateur wrestling,
the energy and the hours and dedication, that is your life. That is all you do. That is what you do every hour of every day to get to that level. And there has to be an adjustment afterwards. And you have to wonder, this guy already pushed himself as far as he could go to get to that pinnacle. And you bring up that point about Frost wanting to keep this belt, not knowing if he'll get a shot, wanting to hold it tight. You have to wonder how motivated Cobb is if he comes up against an attitude like that. Cobb's already gone through that. Can he put his body through that? Is this important enough to him compared to how important it is to a guy like Frost? And go on.
And I'm sure that he definitely wants to prove that, like, this wasn't a fluke. He didn't just happen into the PPW title. I mean, the PPW title, it has prestige. The level,
he didn't win a sweepstakes,
Yeah. But some people might think that, like, well, he was bound to get one at some point. He got lucky on a certain night. He's going to prove people that this was not luck.
No,
we've seen him in the ring. But, some people might question that like, if Drake Frost goes into the ring 100 times, well, one of those times he's going to come out champion. So I think that, like, the amount of time that he's waited for this, the amount of time he's dreamed of being a champion, and then also to prove people, it's a very strong motivator to prove people wrong, prove that this wasn't a fluke, prove that he is a real champion, and there'd be no better way than to take Mr. Athletic Jeff Cobb and pin his shoulders 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Jeff Cobb is one of the biggest physical freaks I've ever seen. Probably the biggest one I've seen live. I've seen Lesnar live, so okay. But Frost is probably the biggest opponent we've seen Cobb against. And some of the physical feats that I've seen Cobb pull off, I'm dying to see what Cobb can do against a guy with this size. A lot of people have gym strength, you hear. But Jeff Cobb just has crazy functional strength, this incredible explosive power that you don't always see from a guy, 240, 250 pounds going up against a guy who's 320. Like, I'm dying to see what Jeff Cobb can do with such a huge guy.
Well, so much
like
of Jeff
Frost.
Cobb's offense is suplexes, and it's flipping people over. And, like, maybe he can do that to Frost once. Can he do it twice?
Exactly.
Like, as the match goes on, is he still going to be able? Because we know that he can suplex large men.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be a long match.
Cobb is, without a doubt, I would say, from like you said, a functional strength standpoint, he's one of the most impressive wrestlers I've ever seen. He's someone that doesn't care what you weigh. He has worked in ways to keep his strength at a point where it doesn't matter if a guy is 150 pounds, 350 pounds. He has the incredible strength to be able to do something with anybody. He's going to do a couple of things. The first thing I can't wait to see is him take him to the mat. I mean, we're going to see a guy, 320, who normally just smothers his opponents down. Cobb is not going to get smothered by him. Cobb is going to love being on the mat with Drake Frost. And so that's where Drake Frost is going to have to really use his weight advantage in a way that he's going to have to kind of treat Cobb like some of the smaller wrestlers we've seen Frost fight. If he tries to see Cobb as an equal because he's a bigger guy, Cobb is going to take that and he's going to really make it his advantage in this match. But I think what we talked about earlier, Frost has been under the wing of Sir Samurai for so long now. He has studied Cobb. He's pinned Cobb, right? Or he's pinned Kratos, pardon me, but he beat Cobb. All of a sudden, you're sitting here going, Frost has an opportunity to make it known that he's not just beating these smaller guys who are trying to make a name for him. He's beating a guy who on the West Coast independent circuit might be the name. Jeff Cobb might be the name, right? Can he pull this off? And if he does, this could be a guy that in Phoenix Pro Wrestling will have a very difficult time of losing that championship.
There's one more aspect of this match that we can't overlook. It's not just the competitors in the ring, it's the rules of Phoenix Pro Wrestling. The champion going into a match has an advantage. If it's a time limit finish, he retains his championship. If he gets disqualified, he retains his championship. The only way you lose a championship in PPW is if you get pinned by your opponent in the ring. So we could see a situation where a champion maybe takes the easy way out, or the challenger just doesn't get it done in time. There's a lot going into this. The onus is on Cobb to go in there and get it done.
But do you think that Frost wants that? Because I don't think he does.
No.
Because Frost, to me, seems like a guy who, for proving his point week after show here, and basically proving in the ring, hey, I deserve a championship shot, then taking advantage of the opportunity when it's given to him, he's going to look at Jeff Cobb as a stepping stone, not someone to go around, but someone to go through.
Well, it's true that Frost's last two opponents, his last two challengers, were smaller men. So these weren't helping him cement his reign as a dominant Phoenix Pro Wrestling champion. Beating Jeff Cobb would absolutely do that. Yeah. He would be the champion without a doubt.
That's the notch.
And so I don't think that he's going to want to take that easy way out.
Yeah,
and I think even if Samurai wanted to, I wouldn't be surprised if Frost said, I'm going to do this my way.
And I think that one thing that has happened over the course of this, almost 18-month period since we've started, Phoenix Pro Wrestling, is that you have seen that Frost has not just become – he has been, quote-unquote, from a experience standpoint under Samurai. But as a wrestler, I think they're peers, right? They don't necessarily work as a leader and a subservient. They're more like partners now. I think we've seen that growth with Frost to the point where it's not just Frost standing behind Samurai. It's them standing next to each other. They're side by side. And that is where I think you make the point, is that Samurai could probably tell him a couple of things, but I think in the end Frost is like, I have the championship for a reason, and I want to show why I should be the champion. That, though, is why they have these matches. It's on paper for a reason.
That's why we got a card,
event.
Right?
But man, it's like, and just just kind of, I would say from a 1,000-yard above viewpoint of this, what we've done in 18 months here has been really incredible.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm really excited to have seen the growth that we have all had, that you and Jim have put together, Josh. And, Eric and I have been friends for a while, and the fact that we get a chance to do this has been great.
Yeah,
and
just seeing this develop and watching kind of up from our little eagle's nest.
And we've heard it
exciting.
from people who've watched it, and they really like what they see. And I'm really excited now that we've kind of put our foundation down, is what's next for Phoenix Pro Wrestling, and having this type of card, which is the best card that we've put together since the beginning, I think is really going to kind of show that we are one of the premier wrestling federations, not just in the Bay Area but all across the country. So I'm really excited to see what we have this 2 weeks from now.
I agree.
Well, that's it, wrestling fans. We have 6 great matches coming for you on March 18th, Phoenix Pro Wrestling at the Phoenix Theater in Petaluma. Doors at 7:30, bell time 8 p.m., $10 for adults, $2 for children 12 and under. We can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us for this special preview of Phoenix Pro Wrestling's next show. Tim Livingston, Eric Ritz.
Thanks, Josh.
I'm Josh Drake. Thank you so much for watching.